You know that feeling when something important happens within the organization, and, at first, it doesn't seem like a big deal. But the more details come to light, the more you realize it could completely shape the team's future. Well, that's exactly what's happening now. In recent days, we've had some very interesting information about how things will work behind the scenes going forward, who will have the most influence on important decisions, and what the overall vision is for this team. And honestly, some of these details may end up being much more important than any move made on the field this season. There were some comments that really stood out, some surprising revelations, and one message in particular that should make all Vikings fans pay close attention. Because, if this plan works as they expect, it could have a huge impact on the franchise's future. So, come along, because there's a lot to analyze, and some of this information could completely change your view of the Vikings right now. Be sure to click the like button and write in the comments. Go Vikings! Something important emerged from the Minnesota Vikings introductory press conference for new general manager Nolan Teasley, and it goes far beyond a simple front office announcement. Hidden inside the comments from ownership, Teasley himself and the discussion surrounding the team's leadership structure was a revealing look at how the Vikings plan to move forward after a season that left many fans frustrated and searching for answers. The biggest question wasn't just who got hired, it was who will truly be in control when the biggest roster decisions arrive. According to comments highlighted during the press conference, Vikings ownership confirmed that Nolan Teasley will have final authority over the roster. Head coach Kevin O'Connell and Teasley will both report to ownership, while Executive Vice President Rob Brzezinski will report to the new general manager. That detail may sound procedural on the surface, but it establishes a clear chain of command and provides a glimpse into how the organization intends to operate moving forward. For Vikings fans, this may be one of the most significant developments from the entire event. The organization is signaling that Teasley is not simply arriving as a figurehead. He is being handed real authority. Whether that dynamic remains exactly as described, once football decisions become more complicated, remains to be seen, but the framework is now publicly established. Teasley is the general manager, and ownership wants everyone to understand that he will have the final say on personnel matters. What makes this especially interesting is Teasley's background. Throughout the discussion, he was portrayed as someone capable of balancing traditional scouting methods with modern analytical approaches. In today's NFL, organizations constantly search for that balance. Some lean heavily on data. Others trust decades of scouting instincts. The impression from these remarks is that Teasley wants both worlds working together rather than competing against one another. One of the most revealing comments from Teasley centered on evaluation. He explained that the Vikings will be guided by evaluation anchored by data, while also emphasizing the importance of the coaching staff's vision for each player. That statement may end up defining his entire tenure. It suggests that talent alone will not be enough. The organization wants to know how a player fits into the plans of Kevin O'Connell, Brian Flores, and the rest of the coaching staff before major decisions are made. That philosophy becomes even more intriguing when considering the leadership group now in place. The Vikings have a head coach who is widely respected across the league, a defensive coordinator with a strong reputation, a salary cap expert in Rob Brzezinski, and now a general manager whose approach appears rooted in collaboration rather than ego. The message repeated throughout the press conference was that successful organizations are built when different departments work together rather than operate in isolation. Then came another statement that may ultimately reveal the organization's biggest priority. Teasley declared that the quarterback and the head coach are the two most important people in the building, and that the entire operation should be structured to support them at the highest possible level. That comment wasn't accidental. It reflects the reality of today's NFL. Teams can possess talented rosters, but without stability at quarterback, and strong leadership from the coaching staff, sustained success becomes incredibly difficult to achieve. By emphasizing that relationship, Teasley essentially provided a roadmap for how he views team building. Every roster decision, every personnel move, every draft selection, and every financial commitment should strengthen the partnership between the head coach and the quarterback. If those two positions are functioning at a high level, the chances of competing increase dramatically. There was also a moment that gave fans an early glimpse into Teasley's personality. When asked about previous general manager opportunities that did not materialize, he responded with humor, joking that it wasn't really a matter of rejection because nobody responded in the first place. The room reportedly laughed, but beneath the joke was something important. It demonstrated self-awareness and a willingness to avoid presenting himself as the smartest person in the room. Throughout the discussion, collaboration repeatedly surfaced as a core theme. Perhaps even more telling was what Teasley said about Rob Brzezinski. He praised Brzezinski's character, leadership, institutional knowledge, and dedication to the Vikings, describing him as someone whose experience remains invaluable to the organization. For a new general manager stepping into a major role, publicly recognizing the importance of a longtime executive sends a strong message about continuity and respect for the people already inside the building. And that may be the most fascinating storyline developing in Minnesota right now. The Vikings are not presenting this as a complete organizational reset. Instead, they appear to be building a structure that combines established leadership with a new decision-maker at the top of football operations. Whether that formula delivers results on the field remains the ultimate question, but the philosophy behind it is becoming clearer with every comment coming out of this press conference. What do you think about Nolan Teasley receiving final roster authority? And do you believe this leadership structure gives the Vikings a better chance to compete moving forward? Share your thoughts in the comments, and then tell me which part of Teasley's press conference stood out to you the most. Another major topic that surfaced near the end of the discussion involved Kevin O'Connell and the quarterback situation, and this is where things become especially interesting for Vikings fans heading into the season. Teasley did not hesitate when discussing O'Connell's value to the organization. He described him as a premier head coach and praised his work as a play caller. That endorsement matters because one of the first responsibilities of any new general manager is evaluating the leadership already in place. Instead of creating uncertainty, Teasley publicly reinforced his confidence in O'Connell and made it clear that the head coach remains a central part of the franchise's vision moving forward. But the most intriguing conversation surrounded the quarterback position. During a separate discussion highlighted by Vikings reporter Alec Lewis, it was noted that Kyler Murray has reportedly impressed people inside the organization with his understanding of the offense, his ability to absorb the system, and his accuracy on the field. According to the comments referenced, the Vikings have not been surprised by how solid his performance has been throughout the off-season process. That is significant because this stage of the off-season is not primarily about game results. It is about leadership, preparation, communication, and building trust inside the locker room. Coaches and teammates are learning who they can depend on when the pressure eventually arrives. The suggestion that Murray is already making a strong impression behind the scenes could become one of the biggest developments to monitor over the coming months. The discussion also touched on the ongoing competition involving J.J. McCarthy. While debate continues regarding how the quarterback situation will ultimately unfold, the broader point remained consistent. If the Vikings receive quality quarterback play, expectations inside the building appear to be extremely high. The belief expressed during the show was that Minnesota possesses enough talent on both sides of the ball to become a playoff contender if the quarterback position delivers consistent production. When you combine that belief with Teasley's emphasis on supporting the quarterback-head coach partnership, A clear organizational direction begins to emerge. The Vikings are building around leadership, stability, collaboration, and maximizing the most important relationship in football. That philosophy will now be tested as Teasley begins making the decisions that define his tenure. For now, the early message coming out of Minnesota is unmistakable. Ownership has established a new power structure. Teasley has embraced a collaborative vision. Confidence in Kevin O'Connell remains strong, and the quarterback position sits at the center of everything the franchise hopes to accomplish next. Now I want to hear from you, Vikings fans. Do you agree with giving Nolan Teasley final roster authority? Do you believe Kevin O'Connell and this quarterback room can lead Minnesota back to the playoffs? And what are your expectations for the Vikings this season? Leave your prediction in the comments. Smash the like button if you're excited about the future of the Minnesota Vikings. And make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any breaking Vikings news, rumors, analysis, and exclusive updates. SKOL.